What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy NBA Tonight, and we're back once again for one more free week. You guys asked for it, and we gave it to you. As you can tell, I'm loaded up on energy drinks. I got one right here, and while I introduce my co-host, Mr. Jake Cousins, the cousin of DeMarcus Cousins, Abyss also gazes. Here he is, the one and only Jake Cousins. Jake, how you doing?
Doing well, Vince. How are you?
Oh, as I crack that open, I'm okay. My heart is finally, healing after what happened on Sunday or on Saturday night. I complained about it. I complained about it all on Sunday. I was really heartbroken after what happened on FanDuel with me, and I can explain that story to those if they're asking. But Tama, what up? What up? What up? I'm about to spill my heart out here. It hurt. It really hurt. But so I complained all day on Sunday. And then today was all about Halloween and trick-or-treating. So happy Halloween to everyone out there who, went out on Hallows Eve and got all the candy. But yeah, I'm still feeling a little heartbroken. I have to be honest with you. But hey, basketball is back.
Yeah, and we get a chance to talk with some listeners and that sort of thing. Maybe that'll lift your spirits.
Exactly. Hopefully it does. Well, guys, this is Fantasy NBA Tonight Live, and this is a hoop-ball.com presentation. Like I said, you guys asked for us to do one more free week, and we said, hey, why not? We love the fans. You guys got us 200 in 2 weeks. So how do we say thank you? We say, let's do this for one more week. Let's do it for free for everyone to see. And not only that, let's have the premium in-season subscription only $19.99 for at least one more week. And on top of that, because we're so nice, if you use promo code Westbrook, that's right. If you use promo code Westbrook, you'll also get 15% off all the way until tip-off tomorrow, Tuesday. When that ball tips off, the promo code is ended, but all the way up until then, use promo code Westbrook, and you can actually get the premium in-season subscription, in-season membership, where you get this show for free, the Monday lineup show that you saw earlier today with Dan Bespers and Aaron Brewski for free, the Sunday waiver wire show that you guys had for free this week. You guys get all of that continued throughout the entire season. And again, that's only 15% off when you use promo code Westbrook. And it's only $19.99. After Friday, it does jump up to that $29.99. So what we like to do here on Fantasy NBA Tonight is answer all of your fantasy basketball questions. Now, what do you have to do to get your question on the show? All you have to do is throw your question down in the live chat. I'm monitoring it very closely. I read it off. Jake and I answer it. And, we go back and forth and we debate whether or not I'm right or he is right, while also making sure we're giving you the best fantasy advice. But before we get to your guys' questions, I'll let you guys all rack in here as our viewership continues to go up a little bit. And I'll retweet out the tweet here. We've seen some basketball now. We've seen some things happen. Anthony Davis threw on an amazing first 2 games of the season. Kawhi Leonard has become my front runner to MVP. Russell Westbrook, though, is named the Western Conference Player of the Week. What has been your biggest takeaway from week 1 of the NBA season?
Oh, man, there are so many different stories that you could talk about. You didn't even mention Miles Turner's just emergence as a star already in his second year, which has been pretty impressive. But my biggest story is Anthony Davis. It just kind of feels like we all collectively forgot how good this guy is. The way that he's been able to just put that Pelicans team on his back has been amazing. I know the Warriors ended up beating him a few nights back, but after Davis, that roster's a dumpster fire right now. And the fact that he even could take Golden State down to the wire like he did was something else. So Davis is the number one story for me. And like you said, this is maybe the most intriguing opening week in a while.
Not only that, we just recently got the news that Ricky Rubio is now going to be out indefinitely. So, and I had a question earlier today, is he going to become a viable pickup for people in leagues or a pickup for Chris Dunn, a viable pickup in most leagues? Because there's a lot of hype behind Chris Dunn's name, especially because of the draft. He can get you steals. Can he knock down the 3-point shot? Can he run a team? You see Chris Dunn is out there on the waiver wires in most leagues. Should people be rushing after to go get him?
Rushing is a tough term there. I know you and I don't quite agree on this, and it's weird because I've actually been really down on Dunn for the entire offseason. I think while Rubio's out, he's worth streaming, even if you're in a shallow league. He's not someone that I'm blowing a bunch of fab money on if you're in that sort of system. He's not someone I'm using my number one waiver wire priority for. He's worth a spot on your roster. I think you asked, can he run a team? Can he hit threes? Can he get you steals? And my answer to those are no, no, and yes. So if you need a steals specialist, he's totally fine. He's not going to do a ton else for you. The assists will be okay, but he's not really the number one beneficiary of this injury news. And I know you want to talk about Zach LaVine, so I'll kick it over to you.
Zach LaVine is going to be one of the guys that I think his stock goes up for sure. And if there was if you guys were thinking about selling high on him, and after the game that we've seen him play throughout the regular season thus far, he hasn't been bad. He's been living up to the value of where most people have been picking him. But if you wanted to sell high, I think now would be the time. Ricky Rubio is out indefinitely. There's a good chance that you're going to start seeing LaVine pick up more minutes. I'm sorry, I'm looking up at the Clippers and Suns, and the Suns have came back. It's 55-56 right now. Very close game. Suns have actually been playing a lot better than I actually expected they would. I mean, close against OKC. They got blown out by the Kings, but, I mean, who cares? Anyways, like I was saying, I think LaVine's going to have that stock completely start increasing because of it. If you wanted to sell high, I completely understand. Another person that you might want to put on your watch list in deeper league is Tyrus Jones. 3-point shooter. They kept him on the roster for a reason. He can shoot the three ball. He can play the point guard position. He's quick. He's a little lackluster on the defensive end of the floor, but at least he puts out the energy to do so. So I think those are guys that you want to keep interest on. But another guy I want to bring up, and you and I were talking about him and a potential deal that we won't bring up because it was like a kind of like a blasphemy type of statement. But if Andrew Wiggins moves to the 2, is there a chance you see more minutes start going to a guy like Bjelica?
Yeah, I think you could see that happen. We know that Thibodeau likes what he brings to the table. We know Thibodeau likes his ability to stretch the floor. So it'll be interesting to see how they mess with their lineups in Minnesota. And I think you're right to point out, like, we don't have really any evidence of Thibodeau trusting rookies for heavy minutes. So just assuming that they all go to Dunn is probably premature. So looking for Bjelica to get extended run at the 3 with Wiggins at the 2 makes sense to me. Seeing him play small with 2 guard lineups and then Wiggins at the 3 could definitely make sense. So keep an eye out for how they mess around the next couple of games. It's probably worth noting too that the news I'm seeing right now says he's out indefinitely, which is obviously pretty ominous, but it was confirmed that this is an elbow sprain. So while who knows how long it'll last, it's probably good that we don't panic and, pretend like he's going to miss months on end.
Yeah, for me, it seems like, and I could be completely off base by saying this, but it kind of seems like there's a good chance they want to make sure Rubio is healthy for a long period of time this season, mainly due to the fact that I do still think they're looking at him as trade bait, and they want to use him in a potential deal later on down the road, but they feel that he can increase his value and increase his stock if he starts playing well and has good games and shows that he can get steals and shows that he can make passes and that he's improved somewhat as a shooter. Because I think that's the only major concern is that he's never, 1, been on a winning team, and 2, he can never knock down a jumper. So people will just always go under on screens, and he's left wide open and he does nothing with it and puts himself and the team in bad situations because all he's doing is looking to pass. So I do think that they're going to start looking to find ways to increase his value, and that's why they're saying out indefinitely, because they want him to be 100% if any team call to have interest in him, like the Sacramento Kings. All right, before we go into the fan questions, I see that you guys are starting to bring them in. I truly appreciate it. And now the viewership is up a little bit, I want to remind everyone that this is Fantasy NBA Tonight Live. I'm your host, Vince Miracle, and joining me every single Monday is the one and only Jake Cousins. We are free one more week for you guys. You guys asked for it, and we said, hey, why not? Let's do it. We're also doing 15% off the in-season premium membership, just so you guys can continue getting the show throughout the regular season. And it's only $19.99 for another week. But again, if you guys want to get it for 15% off that $19.99, use promo code Westbrook all the way up until tip-off tomorrow, and you can actually get the $19.99 product down to 15% off by using that promo code. Now, Jake, before we move into the fan questions, I do see it's starting to come up in there in the live chat. But who has been your most underwhelming and who has been your most overachieving player so far through week 1?
I'll start with overachieving. Maybe that's not the right word for this player, but Miles Turner just jumps off the page to me. I know he was being hyped all preseason, but to see a guy
breakout is real.
Yeah, to see a guy step into that role in his second year is just been beyond impressive. We saw flashes of what he could do, but in this kind of run to put up the defensive numbers that he's logging, while really being their second option on offense ahead of Jeff Teague, is great to see. I'm really excited about Turner. I think this is actually what we're going to get. He's not someone I want to sell high on at all. Probably before tonight's news, Ricky Rubio would have been my most disappointing player so far. The injury makes that a little bit, a little bit of a faulty pick. So instead, I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm looking over at. Sorry, I'm just seeing he broke out tonight, but Kyle Lowry's been sluggish to start the season until tonight, obviously. And he's someone that, even though he blew up tonight, I'm really worried about. Given his injury history, given his age, we've seen him fall apart in the second half the last couple of years. And if he's going to come out the gate sluggish, he might be kind of nearing the end. I know he broke out tonight, but we'll see if that's more of a fluke or if he's reestablished his value.
Yeah, my overvalue player right now, you took it right from me. It's Miles Turner. It's not that he's been overhyped throughout the season. I just think that not only has he been living to the expectation or playing to the expectation that we all thought during the offseason and into our drafts, but he's exceeding it. Like 21 points and 3 blocks per game is just crazy. Like you said, for a second-year player, I mean, he's just blowing it out of the water. And like you said as well, I don't think this is a fluke at all. I think this is something that you're going to see. I think the points will come down a little bit, maybe to around 17 points per game, but I don't think the blocks are going anywhere. I don't think his minutes are going anywhere. I am worried about, though, is his size. He's still pretty small, so I don't know how he's going to stack up later on in the year after being banged down low by a lot of bigger guys and things like that, and getting the abuse that's being with the job of a big man. Underwhelming player has been Nikola Jokic for me. Jokic, I mean, he had that one great game on Saturday. Again, such a sad story about what happened. And if you guys want to know, first off, you can tweet me at VM Center, or you can ask in the live chat, and I'll tell you my very disappointing of what happened on Saturday on FanDuel. But he's just been disappointing because you saw him go in the second round. For a lot of drafts, he was going in the second round, and people were hoping that he was going to return that value, and it's early. I'm not saying that he's not going to. I mean, I'm one of the guys that are really high on him, and I'm not giving up on him at all. But he's still adjusting. And Harrison Wind who covers the Denver Nuggets even reported that in the preseason, and it's carried over into the regular season, that Nikola Jokic is somewhat still trying to figure out that pairing with him and Nurkic as the Twin Towers lineup that they're starting with. And I think it's going to work. It should be fine moving forward. I really think that adjustment period is probably going to be right around 15 to 20 games, which is a good time to buy low on a guy who we here at Hoopball feel he has the chance to be a top 25 player this year. So this is definitely a good time to buy low, but he's been my underwhelming player. All right, guys, so now we're going to go to the live chat. We've waited long enough. I think it's time to start answering all of your fantasy basketball questions. Now, if you have a question that you want to get on the show and you're a first-time viewer, all you have to do is go down to the live chat. I'm monitoring it very closely, and Jake and I will go ahead and start answering those questions for you live here on the show. First question comes from Tama, and he asked, Robin Lopez has got 19 minutes in 2 straight games so far. Should he be concerned?
I think it depends on, what you were hoping for when you drafted Lopez. I still think he's going to man the pivot for Chicago, and I'm not bailing on him or dropping him just yet. I know he's, averaging just under 22 minutes a game, which isn't great. But the shooting's going to come around, and I think, the defense has been there with 1.3 blocks per game. I'm not worried about Lopez yet, as long as you weren't expecting big things from him in the first place.
Yeah, I think for me with Robin Lopez, I think you should be a little bit concerned. They're playing Taj Gibson and Nikola Mirotic together on the floor. They're having Gibson be the 5, and that's more offense for the Bulls that need offense. They need a guy who can shoot the mid-range jumper. Not saying Lopez can't, but Gibson brings a different offensive touch. He can do the low post and the mid. He's also a really good screener. Then you have Mirotic who's stretching the floor. So they're trying to find different ways to have an offensive team on the floor with guys like Rondo, Dwayne Wade, who are mostly cutters. They're slashers to the basket. They're ball dominant guys, so they need that floor to be opened up, and that's why you're going to see a lot of minutes for Mirotic. You're going to see plenty of minutes for Taj Gibson. So I'd rather have those two guys over a guy like Robin Lopez, but Robin Lopez should definitely be able to give you low end center value of what you need, or a low end, end of your bench type of roster. Just to give you a few blocks, grab you 5 to 8 rebounds a game. It just depends on the minutes. And right now he's not even getting 20 minutes a game yet. So I do see that increasing, though. Taj Gibson seems to be a little bit injury prone. For some reason, he always rolls his ankle and misses about 3 games. So his minutes will be there. I wouldn't be too concerned, but I would just if your expectations are that he's going to get a block and a half, 2 blocks a game, I think you should wean that down a little bit. Next question is from Dan H. It says, "What up, my hoopball fam? My friend wants to know from you guys because he won't listen to me. LOL. Is Gary Harris worth a waiver wire pickup? He has the 5th waiver, 12-man."
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you're not blowing even a top waiver priority on him. We saw Will Barton go down tonight. The Nuggets need Harris to come back to his starting role. He's going to be a really nice source of dimes of trays and steals when he comes back. And he shoots the ball very well for a shooting guard with very low turnovers. He's definitely worth the ad if he's sitting out there in your league.
You have to think twice. Stop it. Go get him right now. Go pick him up right now. Next question from Dom Dalso. Says, should I drop Terrence Jones or Chris Dunn for Justin Hamilton? And is it worth it to use my 10th waiver for him? 14-team head-to-head 9-cat.
I mean, I'm having trouble figuring out Justin Hamilton. He's the 25 minutes per game so far has been really nice. We just talked about how Dunn is a questionable ad anyway right now with Rubio out. And when Rubio comes back, I don't really think he's worth rostering in shallow leagues. So yeah, I do think that it'd be worth it to drop Dunn if you could pick up Hamilton. Who knows if the bottom could fall out, but there's a lot to like there, given the run he's getting in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. But I know Justin Hamilton left today's game. I don't know what happened. I'm looking it up, like I said, right now. So that could be a little bit of a concern depending on what happened. I'm looking it up as we speak. But Terrence Jones, the one thing about Terrence Jones that I'll say is that he does have the potential to be. I don't know if that's your mic making a noise. I think your mic is squeaking over there. All right, it's good. It's better. Woo, technical difficulty for just a second.
Sorry,
Terrence Jones, when he has the minutes, he actually is a really good basketball player. He hasn't been seeing the minutes yet, so people are getting concerned. But there's still interest in Terrence Jones. And I believe Aaron brought it up during his Sunday waiver wire show that he's a hot name. And he's a name that, because we've seen what he can do. And Justin Hamilton returned. He rolled his ankle. He returned to Monday's game against the Bulls. So, yeah, I definitely, especially in a 14-team league, I would definitely go after him. If it's between Chris Dunn or Terrence Jones, I'd probably choose Terrence Jones right now just because now Chris Dunn has a chance for minutes and Terrence Jones has had the chance for minutes and they still haven't gone to him yet. But, again, I think we know what Terrence Jones can do when he's given the minutes. He's been a top 60 player, I believe it was, when he was with the Houston Rockets. So you know what you can get from a guy like that, but unfortunately he hasn't produced it yet for New Orleans. So will he ever do it? It's still a question mark, but that's why he's been getting added to a lot of players' rosters right now. Movie Dude asks, I think with the 10th waiver, you should just go for it. Okay, so he's answering somebody else's question. So Jim says, hey, guys, someone dropped Collison in my 9-cat head-to-head league. Who would you drop between Biyombo, Etuan Moore, Tyler Johnson, and Trevor Booker? Etuan Moore.
Yep, that was my answer too.
Yeah, and you need to go get him right now. Darren Collison, when he returns on November 8th against the Pelicans, you need to rush to go get him because he's going to be a nice player inside of Jaeger's system. So I would drop Etuan Moore instantly for him to go get a guy like Darren Collison.
Yep.
Anything else? No, we're good?
No. Go get him. I don't know.
Next question. Should I drop the struggling Sark for Chris Dunn? Ooh.
No. I know Sark's been ugly so far, but the minutes are going to continue to go up. He has such a diverse skill set. I'm not particularly worried about this buzz about Okafor and Embiid playing together. He does a lot for them, and he does a lot of what they were hoping Ben Simmons would do for them. So sit tight with Sark. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'd sit tight with Sark as well. We don't know what Chris Dunn's going to be able to do. And I know that if you're going after him, hoping for the potential of what he could be, you're going off the hype that was there for when you heard his name at draft time. And oh, now he's going to get minutes. Now it's Tom Thibodeau, defensive coach. They can use him very well. But he hasn't proven anything. preseason is preseason. You know, we didn't see that much great things out of him in preseason. Summer league is completely different. That's just that's probably worse than college. That's like 24-hour fitness basketball times it by 2. Like, that's all that is. So you can't take too much away from what you've seen from Chris Dunn. So there's a huge question mark there. And there's other talent that can play the point guard position with Zach LaVine, with Tyrus Jones. I believe that's the name. I feel like that's wrong because I said Tyrus Thomas earlier. And I know that's definitely wrong, but I believe it's Tyrus Jones. It's the other point guard that's there. They kept him. And he can shoot three-pointers. So I think you're going to see a carousel there as the backup between Jones and Dunn. So I wouldn't drop Sark. Sark's going to have a huge role for Philadelphia. He's just getting his NBA legs. It's his first time in the NBA. He's a rookie for a reason. He's a young guy. He'll figure it out. He has the experience from EuroLeague, and it's going to transfer over. Aaron Brewski is pretty high on him. And he's not normally high on people unless he truly believes it. And his team name is Dario Cart in our league. So that's how high he is on a guy like Dario Sark. I haven't been that high on him. At the same time, I'm not high on Chris Dunn either for you to go after him and drop Sark for him. So I'd stick with Sark. Next question comes back to Movie Dude and says, is Patty Mills for real? Will he take the starter's job from Tony Parker?
I don't know. I don't think he will take the starting job from Parker in terms of literally he starts the game on the floor. I think we could be headed towards a situation where Mills is seeing as many minutes as Parker is on a pretty consistent basis. I mean, if you're asking me to choose between the two of them, I want Mills because of his ability to hit it from deep. I think if you're looking at the box scores from the Olympics and thinking he's going to be that guy, he's not. He's not going to be that much of a focal point of that offense. But if he's a guy that you're looking at the end of your bench to drain a couple of trays, I think he's worth holding on to.
Patty Mills is the man. I think Patty Mills needs to become a starter. He won't. There's too much experience with Tony Parker. Tony Parker, it's still his team. I mean, it's Kawhi's team, but Tony Parker has been there. It's his team. He's one of the last veterans that are there, but Patty Mills is going to be the guy that you want to own out of those 2 point guards. He can get you 3-pointers when Tony Parker gets his resting days. As we've seen, it's already happening. He's going to get those days. Patty Mills is going to be able to step in there and get those minutes, and he's going to be able to produce in those minutes. On top of that, he makes for a solid DFS play. We don't talk about DFS enough on this show, but there's a lot of DFS players here over at Hoopball, including myself Saturday. I'm going to keep bringing it up because I'm still heartbroken by him. Healing. Patty Mills is a good value play. And the reason why he's a good value play is because he knows how to score and he's an unselfish player. And if you saw anything that happened in the Olympics, you know what he can do when given the minutes. And we've been seeing it through the regular season thus far. So out of the 2, you definitely want to own Patty Mills. Is he for real? Yes, he's for real. Will he take the starting job from Tony Parker? No, but I don't necessarily think that needs to happen for him to continue to hold low-end value in standard leagues. Thanks. Or next question. Thanks. Need a drink. Still a little bit tired from Halloween, trick-or-treating. Next question is just a lot of people saying Brazil, Pora, Fala. I can't pronounce. I wish I could pronounce stuff. I really do. I'm terrible with other languages. As you can tell, I can barely speak English. Dan H says, thank you, Preach. I told him to get Harris. He also wants me to ask, is James Ennis for real, or should I grab JJ Barea?
I think between those two, I'd rather have Barea still. I just see him as, a meaningful part of that Mavs rotation. Obviously, it's going to be he's going to be cannibalized, right, by Felton, by Darren Williams, but he's gotten consistent run every time he's had Rick Carlisle as his coach. He can swipe you a few. He can hit it from deep. He'll get some assists, especially when Darren Williams is out and with Felton's injury history too. I'd rather have Barea.
Yeah, I'd rather have Barea as well. I also think that you have to know in the back of your head at some point this season, Darren Williams is going to get injured and he's going to miss a good chunk of games. And who's going to take over? It's going to be JJ Barea. I know a lot of people have a lot of hype behind one's last name, who is Curry, and it's not Steph. It's little brother Seth. It's the sous chef out of the 2. And and a lot of people have a lot of hype behind him. And I know why. He's a shooter. There's a big name. We saw what he was able to do with Sacramento at the end of the season last year. And people are hoping to see that in Dallas. It hasn't actually came to fruition yet in Dallas. But if Darren goes down, JJ steps into a starting role, and Seth Curry gets significant minutes off the bench, I think there you'll see something. But as of right now, out of those players, if you're keeping James Ennis or JJ Barea, I'm going with JJ Barea because there's also reports that Memphis believes that they can get next week or so. So you have to take that into account as well. All right, guys, I'm going to pause the show right here once again to remind everyone that this is Fantasy NBA Tonight Live. I'm your host, Vince Miracle, and joining me every single Monday is the one and only Jake Cousins. This is a hoop-ball.com presentation. What we like to do here on the show is answer all of your fantasy basketball questions. So if you have a question that you want to have here on the show, all you have to do is, one, hit that like button so that we know that you enjoy this show. Hit that subscribe button so you can hoop-ball.com, and just put your question down in the live chat. I'm monitoring it very closely. Jake and I will discuss it, and we'll give you the best advice here from the Hoop Ball staff. Well, Jake, as the chat room continues to start bringing in a couple questions, I thought a good idea would be, at least towards the end, going toward the end of the show, and while we're waiting for the Clippers and Suns to wrap up here, and the Clippers are starting to pull away as we expected that to. I think it'd be a good idea to go over some of these box scores and start seeing what's happening in the NBA tonight. And before I do that, we do actually have a question that came back in from Movie Dude. Said, "Is it a given that Brook won't? Is it a given that Brook won't do back-to-backs for the foreseeable future?" Yes, I'm still trying to trade this guy.
I know he got the day of rest off this weekend, but I don't think they're planning on resting Brook on every back-to-back. So I'm not ready to make that assumption.
Yeah, no, Kenny Atkinson's actually came out and said that he's not resting him on every single back-to-back. Yeah. That's not what it exactly means. So, no. But, yeah, as soon as he has a couple of those big games, I'm doing the same. I have him in one of my leagues. It was an auto pick. It was an accident. So I'm dealing with the same issues that all of you guys are about him resting, and he hasn't even been playing that well. And the fact that Kenny Atkinson even called Justin Hamilton a good system guy, like he's better for that system, I think speaks volume to how they look at Brook Lopez. So, yeah, I think you have to wait till he puts together a couple of good games before you can actually trade him and get value for him, because as of right now, his value is a low-end play. Maybe it's a Darren Collison. You know what I mean? And that if you can get Darren Collison for Brook Lopez, I think that's a good deal. So, all right, Jake, we answered the question. Again, if you guys have a question, we'll stop whatever we're doing. We'll look into the chat, and we'll answer all of your guys' fantasy basketball questions. But like I said, to start going over some of the box scores from tonight, get our initial reaction from what we've seen from today's games. And there wasn't that many games today. I believe there was, 5 games today? 1, 2, 3, 4 games today. And the very first game came between the Denver Nuggets and the Toronto Raptors. Very entertaining game. We talked about two of the players today with Nurkic and Jokic being kind of my underwhelming player. But they came back. They actually showed grit in that second half. They actually pulled it, to I believe was actually a 2-point game, and then Toronto was able to hold them off. What were some of your takeaways from this game?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it a lot with Jokic, which was my big takeaway. That 22 minutes just jumps off the box score for someone who was absolutely advocating him as a second-round pick. It's a little alarming. You're right that I think this is an adjustment period that's gonna work itself out. But I mean, Nurkic had 38 minutes to Jokic's 22 tonight. So there are some growing pains with their young bigs, and it looks right now like Nurkic is actually the one benefiting a bit more. I definitely think that'll change, but he's the one playing in position, and Jokic is the one learning a new spot at power forward. Jokic has not had to defend power forwards at the NBA level before, and Mike Malone is someone who isn't going to tolerate him slipping up and not being in the right place. And there were a lot of times tonight where a Nuggets perimeter defender would get burned by Kyle Lowry or get burned by DeMar DeRozan and get into the paint, and Jokic wasn't in the right spot to help. And until he cleans up some of those things, he's going to be up and down when it comes to his minutes. Now, I think he can learn the position, and when or if Kenneth Faried gets traded, there's going to be more minutes at the 4, but for now, kind of expect the roller coaster.
Just to kind of go down the starting lineup for that Denver Nuggets team, and we'll stick to this team for a little while, then we'll move over to Toronto, and then we'll move on to the next game. But Danilo Gallinari played 37 minutes. He finished with 16 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, but he shot 3 of 11 from the field. Yuck, that's disgusting. Yep. Nikola Jokic, like you said, he played 22 minutes tonight. He battled foul trouble. He had 4 fouls, finished the game with 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist on 6 of 9 shooting. He did take a 3-point attempt, but he happened to miss it. He also had 4 turnovers in this game, and that's something that you really don't want to see from your big man. I'll also say this, too. Like you said, he's not used to defending the power forwards, but he's also defending the best player. Right? And these last 2 games that in the games that he struggled, New Orleans, and now this one, he had to guard Anthony Davis, which was not it was a very hard task to do. It was a big task to take on to guard Anthony Davis. And there were times where he actually defended him very well, but Anthony Davis just had that phenomenal night, and you got to tip the cap to him. This one, he was guarding Jonas Valanciunas a little bit. He has to get adjusted to being able to move and to be able to switch, because Nurkic has the bigger body and he can actually body up with Jonas a little bit better. But I think they were trying to exploit that a little bit. And honestly, when I looked at Jokic, they have a rookie over there in Toronto playing Pascal. I can't remember the last name, but we'll get to that in just a second. They have a rookie playing the power forward position in Toronto. I thought he would be able to take advantage of it, and unfortunately he wasn't. So again, when we do the Brewski 150 things, or when Aaron does the Brewski 150, and we talk about a lot of the things that we're looking at for who is the value going to, Siakam. Thank you, Dan. Siakam. Yeah. So when you're looking at the value, it's rest of season. It's the season outlook for a lot of these players when we're talking about these guys. And that's what you have to take into consideration. We're not looking at week 1. We're not looking at week 2. We're looking at what can this player provide you when the whole season is said and done. And I still feel like there's a good chance Jokic is going to be a second-round pick. I'm not overreacting to just 1 week in the adjustment period. Continue going down. Nurkic played 38 minutes, finished with 13 points, 18 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 5 blocks on 5 of 14 shooting. He also had only 1 turnover and only 2 fouls, so he played a very good game. Will Barton started once again, had 29 minutes, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He had also had 1 block on 5 of 7 shooting, and Emmanuel Mudiay, he finally had a decent game. It's been a little while, but he finally had a decent game. He had 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, and only 2 turnovers. That's his lowest turnover game this season, and I bet you it may be all season long. This guy turns over the basketball quite a bit. The only other person that I want to bring up from this team is Wilson Chandler, because I know that we've been getting questions a little bit here and there on Fantasy NBA Today. It came up on Fantasy NBA Tonight last week. But Wilson Chandler is trying to carve out a role with this team. And you can't forget about how well he played 2 years ago before the injury. He could shoot 3-pointers. He could play multiple positions. Off the bench, Wilson Chandler played 31 minutes, had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, but shot just 2 of 7 from the field. I want to ask you before we move over to Toronto, do you think Wilson Chandler can start picking up value now that Will Barton went down with an injury?
I think he can. We saw a lot of Jameer Nelson trying to pick up the slack there too, but A, he has his own injury history, and B, I'm just at this point in his career, Jameer Nelson doesn't excite me at all. Chandler can play the 3, he can play the 4, and with Barton ahead of him and Gallinari ahead of him, you've got guys either that are currently injured or who have an extensive injury history. So the idea that Chandler can carve out a role for himself in the mid to high 20s is I think very much kind of in the cards this season. And like you said, he's never going to shoot the ball particularly well, but he has a diverse enough skill set to impact your fantasy team in a number of ways. I'm not rushing to pick him out yet, but he's definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on.
I'm definitely keeping an eye on him, especially if Gary Harris is unavailable to return this week. I think that Wilson Chandler can come in and play multiple different roles. He can play from 2 to 4. And I know that they've talked about this super small lineup. Michael Malone has talked about it coming out of their training camp. They have this really small lineup that they have not been able to do yet just because everyone hasn't been healthy. But if Wilson Chandler can stay healthy, Danilo Gallinari stays healthy, Gary Harris is able to come back, there is a super small lineup that can be had with that team. It'll be an interesting one to see. I think if you have an open roster spot and you need some scoring, you need some 3-point shooting, I think Wilson Chandler is someone that you want to keep your eye on that no one else is looking at. So if he's on your wire and you think, hey, I need that scoring punch, or hey, Denver, I believe, has a 4-game week this week, and I want to get 3 more games out of him, I think that's someone you can look at and definitely get you at least a couple 3-pointers for later this week. We actually had a couple questions come in here on the chat before we move over to Toronto. It says, do you think that Trevor Booker will be consistent? He's had some good games so far. And that question is from The Beat.
He has had some good games so far. If you're looking at him to be sort of the 25-minute a night guy he's been so far, with some decent steals, some boards, even a handful of assists, I think there's something there. I like what Booker brings to the table, and the cupboard is just so bare in Brooklyn that I think he's worth keeping. I think he's worth kind of bumping up your evaluations because of that diversity that he brings. Yeah.
I think Trevor Booker is probably arguably their best power forward on that team, and he's going to he's going to get the minutes all season long. They signed him for a reason, and if you saw him play last season for Utah, he's a very athletic big man who could run the floor. Yeah. I love watching him play just because he kind of plays with that Draymond grit, but he doesn't have the talent that backs it up. So he's kind of like, I brought up 24-hour fitness basketball for some league. He's kind of like that 24-hour fitness guy that knows he's better than everybody else, but there's always that other person who's better than him, but they won't admit that they're better. That's Trevor Booker. It's like he thinks he's the best power forward in the league, but he's really not. And so that's kind of fun to watch with him. But I think he's going to definitely get you a double-double. As long as he's getting the minutes, he can get you 13 points, 10 rebounds, 11 rebounds. He'll have those big boarding nights. He's not going to get you any defensive stats. His field goal percentage isn't going to kill you. His free throw percentage may not even kill you as much because he doesn't get the free throw line that often. So, yeah, I think he's a good end of your bench kind of guy. I don't expect him much, but do I think he's going to be consistent? I think that answer is yes. Next question is, do you guys think Winslow and Tyler Johnson can be 3-and-D guys this season?
I mean, we're already seeing the breakout with Justice Winslow, right? Like, I think he's someone that he's not going to be quite what he's been so far in terms of the assists, but everything else is pretty legit to me. He's a guy that is going to fill it up in steals. He's going to hit. I think he can get to a place rather where he's going to hit a 3 a game, and he could get half a block a game too. So I think the defense is going to be there. I think the 3-point shot is on its way. As for Tyler Johnson, sorry, I just wanted to pull up his minutes really quickly. I mean, he's at almost 30 a game so far this season, and there's a lot to like. I think he is playing a bit above his head there, and I'm not sure that he's going to have the defensive impact of a guy like Winslow, but he can get you a 3 a game, and if you're looking kind of at the end of your bench or looking for a streaming option, Johnson's not a bad pick.
Yeah, Johnson's going to definitely be a streaming option. I think he's going to hold you over until, let's say, someone decides to drop somebody that you think, if because of injury and you think you can stash someone, maybe in that case, maybe you drop Johnson. But I think Johnson's going to be a solid guy off the bench for Miami. If Goran Dragic ever goes down, he'll become the starter. He's going to be a 3-and-D guy. He can get you a steal. He'll get you the 3-pointers, and they're using him off the bench as their number 1 option or number 2 option. If you look at Dion Waiters as a better scoring option, but I sure don't. And I don't see why anybody else would. I don't care if he had that one good time in the playoffs. I don't. Look at me. I don't. But I do think Tyler Johnson has a chance to be a 3-and-D guy, as well as Justice Winslow. For Justice Winslow this season, and Jake, I'd love to see if you agree with this. I kind of look at him this season as more of a DeMarre Carroll type of player with higher scoring upside, and then can progress to be something more than that. But as of this season, I'm just kind of looking at him as like a 13 points, maybe a 3-pointer and a half, and a steal and a half a game, a DeMarre Carroll type of player. Do you think that's a good assessment, or do you think you have a different player comparison, or do you think he exceeds that?
No, I like the DeMarre Carroll call a lot. The negative part that you left off is both of them are going to hurt you when it comes to field goal percentage. But I think that sounds about right across the board. The one thing I'll be watching with Winslow is to see if he can keep up those assists, though, because that's something that was always so up and down with Carroll throughout his career. If Winslow can keep up, he's at 3.7 right now. I don't think that'll hold. But if he can get you 2.5 a game, that's kind of an added hidden benefit to him beyond just the 3-and-D stats.
Last question here before we move on to the Toronto Raptors. Should Tama sell high on Tim Frazier?
I mean, who's buying? Because, I mean, yes, I would sell high on Tim Frazier. I know he's going to keep getting those minutes until Drew Holiday is back, but I don't love the talent. If someone's going to give you something of real value for him, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it as well. I think that Tim Frazier, when I will say this, and I said it on last week's show as well. I think Tim Frazier is going to carve out a role with this team, even when Drew Holiday returns. I think
Sure.
if you want to sell with his value being as high as it is right now, I think it's a smart idea because he's going to continue to get those minutes, and you can sell the fact that Drew Holiday is still out indefinitely and is not pressured to return at any time. But even when he returns, Jake, I'd love to get your thoughts on this because I did it on the solo show on Friday, and so I had no one to disagree with me at all. So this could be an interesting little take here. Is I think Tim Frazier can lock down the point guard spot for New Orleans, and you could see Drew Holiday moving over to the 2, and Solomon Hill or Tyreek being in there at the 3. I don't like Tyreek Evans on that on this team. I think Drew Holiday and Tim Frazier can be a 1 and 2, and you have Solomon Hill right there for the 3. Then you have Tyreek Evans be a 6-man, which I think is smarter because Tim Frazier has shown that he can run a team. Drew Holiday has shown that he can shoot and run a team. So I think that would be a nice pairing. I think that Tim Frazier has shown that he deserves a role in this, depleted Pelicans ugly roster that's trying to push for a playoff spot because Anthony Davis is there and they're always going to be in the conversation because of Anthony Davis, but they're really not that good. I mean, do you think he's going to carve out that role even when Drew Holiday returns? And do you think you can see a Tim Frazier at the 1 and Drew Holiday at the 2 situation?
I think it's certainly possible, but for me, it says a lot more about Tyreek Evans than about Tim Frazier. Like you pointed out, I think Evans is a horrendous fit for this team and their needs. I just don't see him working very well with that first unit because he's such a ball dominant player who doesn't shoot. That said, I still think that the sell high window is now for Frazier. He's 74th right now on 9-cap player raters. And if you can get anything near that value, I'm doing it in a heartbeat because even if he does carve out that role and he has a starting guard spot next to Drew Holiday, he's not going to have the ball in his hands nearly as much. And if he's at 9.3 assists per game right now, and that's going to come down a lot even if he's starting because Drew Holiday is going to be the one running the offense and handling the show. So he's not someone I'm going to cut as soon as Holiday comes back, but still would sell high if you can get anything of value.
I mean, even selling high though, and I see it in the chat. I was going to bring this up as well. Excuse me, as the bubbles from my Rockstar are starting to get to me. I don't think even if you're selling high, I don't think you should expect that much. I think he's just a good tag-along piece for another trade that you're doing. That makes it very interesting because if you have somebody in your league that's maybe like a rookie trader or like a noob to the fantasy game and you're incorporating them, or even someone that's just looking for some assists, that adding his stats to the trade evaluator or whatever they go to when they're looking at it would say, okay, Tim Frazier's getting the minutes, Drew Holiday's out, okay. He's a nice piece added on to, let's say you're doing a deal with Victor Oladipo, who people are trying to sell low on or buy low on, and you're trying to piece together the right pieces to get certain players. So that's something you want to consider, but I don't think you can get much for him. I think you just have to temper your expectations on how high you're selling him.
Mm-hmm.
What next question is who's a better stash, Josh Richardson or Patrick Beverley? I said that was the last one before we went to Toronto. I lied.
It's Josh Richardson. It's the upside that he has. I don't think that Beverley can get close to.
I had technical difficulties and Jake has somehow fell off the stream. So yeah, I definitely agree with Jake. It's gonna be Josh Richardson. The upside is there. As soon as he returns, he's gonna probably have a game, maybe 2, maybe 3, where he's gonna be working back to getting into that starting role. But he's going to be hands down the starting shooting guard for the Miami Heat. The steals are gonna be there, the 3-pointers are gonna be there, and he's gonna be a player that when you're looking at him, the upside for him, and the fact that no one's really looking at him unless you're truly in depth with your fantasy analysis and you're looking at all of these sites. A lot of people are high on Josh Richardson. And it looks like Jake is coming back on here in just a moment. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. But yeah, I definitely think you're looking at who's the better stash. It's going to be Josh Richardson over Patrick Beverley, especially since Patrick Beverley is more of just a steals guy. He's the end of your bench kind of guy who, is going to be a lot inconsistent with James Harden being a ball dominant player. You have Eric Gordon who could score the basketball. Trevor Ariza is probably going to score the basketball a lot more. I know I think he's an awesome buy low candidate right now. So yeah, it's going to be Josh Richardson 100%. Next question is deep league rest of season ads. Or is it roster ads? I don't know which one you're going for. Kilpatrick, Lure, Nick Young, Baldwin. Probably none of them are exciting. Question mark? Yeah, none of them are really exciting. None of them are going to jump off the page to me. But for rest of season outlook, I'm definitely leaning toward John Lure. I think John Lure is actually a really good fit next to Andre Drummond. And hey, the one and only Jake Cousins is back on the cast. But I think John Lure is the best player out of the guys that you've named. John Lure is, again, I think he's a really good fit next to Andre Drummond because he can knock down the 3-point shot. He's pretty athletic for being the power forward spot. I actually, for those who don't know, I'm in Sacramento. I thought he would have been a great fit with the Sacramento Kings. Unfortunately, the Kings didn't go after him. But he's a great fit next to Andre Drummond because he's going to be a guy that a lot of teams and opposing teams are looking at. And then they have John Lure there in the corner who can kind of play mixing that role of Tobias Harris and Marcus Morris as that stretch four that they need off the bench. He's the first power forward off the bench, first wing player off the bench. So he is going to be the best rest of season outlook player that you want to add out of the three guys you've named. Jake, I don't know if you heard the question or the players that were there, but rest of season ads, Kilpatrick, Lure, Nick Young, or Baldwin?
The question answer is right. Not super exciting. I'm with you on Lure. I just like the fit there. I like what he brings. I know there are a lot of those kind of tweener type players with him in Detroit, but I don't think any of them really give that traditional power forward who can also shoot the ball sort of appeal. So yeah, I like Lure as a deep league guy or as a guy that you're watching on the waiver wire.
He's rebounding the ball very well right now to start the season as well, and in limited minutes. So if there's any chance like Harris goes down or he finds a way to earn a bigger role with that Detroit Pistons team, and I'll even say this, if you read a lot of the beat posts for the Detroit Pistons, Stan Van Gundy is speaking very highly of John Lure, and he's been doing it since training camp. So it's continuing into the regular season. They're finding ways to give him minutes. I believe it's increased at least like by a minute or two in each of the games. It's because of how well of a fit he is next to Andre Drummond. So he's someone that you definitely want to keep on your radar, at least on the waiver wire list. And if you're looking to add someone out of those guys, it's definitely Lure for me, and it looks like it's Lure for Jake as well.
Yeah.
Next question from Dan says, JJ Barea or Tyler Johnson? I'm going toward Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, I like that. I think that what we've seen so far with his ability to shoot the ball is really appealing. I also think that he's just locked himself into that backup point guard role in a way that, even though we talked about liking Barea earlier in the show, between Williams and Felton and Seth Curry, there's enough kind of other options on that team that if you're looking for kind of a speculative guy, I like the player with more of a direct path to playing time.
All right, Jake, we're going to go over to Toronto. We're going to speed through a couple of these teams. Now, I still want to answer all of your guys' fantasy basketball questions here at the end of the show. I want to end with some rapid-fire questions. So if you have any last-minute questions through the last 10 minutes of the show, start sending them in now through the live chat. I'm monitoring it very closely. And at the very end of the show, even if we have to go over a little bit, Jake and I will be here, and we're ready to answer all of your fantasy basketball questions. This is Fantasy NBA Tonight Live, a hoop-ball.com presentation. I want to thank every single one of you guys who joined me tonight here on this Monday edition of Fantasy NBA Tonight. And we are one more week free of this. If you have not become a premium in-season member yet, I've left a link down below. Use promo code Westbrook and you'll get 15% off the price of $19.99. Now, Jake, here it is. This is the Toronto side. I'm going to just run down the starting lineup, and I don't think there's anything shocking that we're going to see from this game. DeMarre Carroll started, played 28 minutes, had 10 points, 2 rebounds, 1 block on 4 of 8 shooting, and did not turn over the basketball. So exactly what you're expecting to see from him. One surprising thing, though, is he didn't get any steals, but he did get a block. Siakam, I'm telling you, I'm terrible with names. Excuse me. The rock star is getting to me. The rookie played 15 minutes, had 2 points and 4 rebounds on 1 of 4 shooting. Jonas Valanciunas played 30 minutes, had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block on 6 of 12 shooting. He had 2 turnovers, but just like Jokic, he battled foul trouble a little bit, had 4 fouls in this game. This is where you're going to see it. The backcourt is what carried this team to the win. It was DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. DeRozan played 38 minutes, finished with 33 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal on 13 of 23 shooting. Again, no 3-pointers from DeMar DeRozan in this game. That's the one thing that hurts you with having DeMar DeRozan. He never gets you any 3-pointers. And that if everyone says he could be an elite player. He'd be an amazing basketball player, which he already is, but he'd be next level amazing if he could just knock down some 3-point shots. Best part about his stat line as well, though, is he only had 1 turnover, so he was very efficient in his night. Kyle Lowry finally had that breakout game, played 35 minutes, 29 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals on 10 of 20 shooting, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. He did give you 1 3-pointer and only turned over the ball 3 times. Off the bench, the highest minutes off the bench was Patrick Patterson. He played 32 minutes, 3 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Shocking here, though. This is something you will probably never see again, at least this season. And this is me being very mean because I don't think Patrick Patterson can ever do this again. He had 5 blocks in this game. He shot 1 of 4 from the field and did not turn over the basketball. So if you had Patrick Patterson in your DFS lineup, you are lucking out because you got him on his birthday. It's not really his birthday, but he'll never get 5 blocks ever again in a game. Was there anything that stood out to you in that game, or was it this finally just the breakout game for Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, breakout game for Lowry, which is encouraging if you're his owner, but I'm not quite ready to buy. The other thing that's been in line with this season, but is something I'm still excited about with Jonas is that his minutes continue to be north of 30. He's at 32.3 for the season. He was at 31 tonight. That's been the knock on Jonas forever, right? Oh, he only gets 26 minutes a game from Casey. And if we're really seeing the minutes climb north of 30, and we might actually see the Jonas that we saw this summer rather than the guy that we saw last year. So I'm bullish on Valanciunas, and it's nice to see those minutes stay where they are.
So are you saying that this is the breakout year for Jonas Valanciunas?
Yeah, I'm ready to say that.
Nope, never. I'm never saying that again because this has been his breakout year for the last 3 years. All right, the last 3 years we've said Jonas Valanciunas, this is the breakout season. This is the breakout season. This guy's gonna be amazing. It hasn't happened yet. I'm done believing in it. So hopefully it happens. You just are not. You're not buying. I'm not buying stock in it. Going over to a team that is surprisingly 3-0 against the sadly. They've actually played better than I expected this year, Brooklyn Nets, Chicago versus Brooklyn. And I'm going to start off on the side that I think is going to, either surprise a lot of people or going to be like, yeah, we saw this coming with how they set up their offseason. The Chicago Bulls. Jimmy Butler plays 27 minutes, has 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists on 6 of 10 shooting. He did have 2 3-pointers, and he only turned over the ball 1 time. Taj Gibson started once again, 14 points, 11 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block on 7 of 9 shooting. Robin Lopez, we talked about him earlier in the show, played 19 minutes, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Again, he's going to be a low-end guy that you're going to want to have at the end of your roster, especially if you're looking for a low-end center. 28 minutes, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block on 5 of 13 shooting and knocked down 1 3-pointer. And the starting point guard, Rajon Rondo, played 25 minutes, had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block on 5 of 8 shooting. And he also turned over the ball 3 times. So he didn't really hurt you in any category at all. The person who played the most minutes off the bench was Nikola Mirotic. He played 24 minutes. He also finished with a double-double, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and also 3 blocks, something that you will rarely see from Nikola Mirotic as well. He took 10 3-pointers in this game. He knocked down 4 of them. I don't think there was anything crazy from the Chicago side. I think these are games where you're still seeing people adjusting to whatever it is that they're doing. I don't think these 3-point shots are going to be consistent, but we just read down the top the starting 5 as well as the biggest minutes off as the 6th man, I guess you'd say, off the bench. Was there anything that stood out to you from Chicago, Jake?
I think you're right that a lot of this is to be expected. I'm shouting from the mountaintops to sell high on Dwayne Wade, though. If you can get someone to bite at his current value, do it. Between the injury history, I'm still not convinced about his fit next to Rondo and Butler. And the idea, like, these 3-pointers from him are not going to be sustainable. So if you can sell high on Wade, do it.
Yeah. If you can sell Dwayne Wade, and I already have a bet. I said he's not playing more than 66 games this season. I just know unless this is a real thing, unless you guys truly believe he's going to become like this Vince Carter type player and is going to learn how to shoot 3-pointers to end his career, and he's going to stay healthy because he's not going to be driving that much. I don't believe that either. I think Dwayne Wade can continue to be an alpha dog, continue doing the things that's made him an alpha dog type player in this league, and why he's an NBA champion. And that's going to be a player that's aggressive, and he can, distribute and do the little things for a team as well as be the leader of a team. I think the fit with Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade would have been fine. It's Rajon Rondo that's going to be the odd man out. I want to see if he's going to be able to get any triple doubles like he did last season, if the assist numbers are going to be there, and what Rondo's role is going to be as the season progresses, because I just don't see that fit. Although there was a really nice play today where Taj Gibson passed it to Rondo to Dwayne Wade, and then an alley-oop to Jimmy Butler for the dunk against Brooklyn. But again, this is Brooklyn. This is probably the most surprising team for me that's still 3-0 to start the season, because I thought Boston was going to beat them. We move over to the Brooklyn side. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson played 30 minutes. He had 2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists with 1 block on 1 of 7 shooting. He did not hit a 3-pointer, and he also had 2 turnovers. Trevor Booker, we talked about him quite a bit on this show, played 19 minutes in this blowout. 5 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals on 2 of 7 shooting. He did take 2 3-pointers as well in this game, which I think is a pretty big surprise for me. He did have 1 turnover. Brook Lopez came back after resting on the second half of that back-to-back. He played 21 minutes, had 13 points and 2 rebounds with 1 block on 5 of 11 shooting. Bojan Bogdanovic started at the 2 spot. Played 20 minutes, had 15 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist on 5 of 11 shooting. He also knocked down 2 3-pointers. And then Jeremy Lin Sanity is returning to New York, but now it's in the black and white uniform in Brooklyn. Plays 23 minutes, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals on 6 of 10 shooting. He also knocked down 1 3-pointer and had 3 turnovers. Off the bench, I think the person that everyone wants to talk about, and I have to bring him up, is Justin Hamilton. He played 16 minutes. He only had 7 rebounds. He finished with a goose egg in the points section. He had 0 assists as well, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 of 4 from the field, and he did not have any turnovers. He rolled his ankle. He was able to return, but it just was not a good showing from Justin Hamilton. A bad night all around from the Brooklyn Nets as they get defeated 118-88. Was there any takeaways from you in this game, Jake?
I think the big takeaway from me is just continuing to be patient with Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. The shooting just isn't there, and like you mentioned, this team's a mess. I still like Hollis-Jefferson. I know he was a trendy sleeper this year, but it's going to be ugly. There's going to be nights like this. So preaching patience when it comes to him. It's cool to see Jeremy Lin, driving a team's offense again, but that's about it from Brooklyn tonight.
You think that people should sell high on Jeremy Lin for how well he's played to start the season?
That's the conventional wisdom right now, but I'm kind of tempted to just stick with Lin. He's not going to be quite this good, but I think that the counting stats, the 16, 4, and 6 sounds about right. Even if the steals come down a bit, I still think he's going to post value close to this. So I see Lin more as a hold than a sell high.
Super Taco asked in the chat, and I think it's a good question to ask right now, is Kilpatrick any good? And because I have his line in front of me, he played 25 minutes tonight for the Brooklyn Nets, finished with 13 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 steal on 3 of 13 shooting. Gross. He was 7 of 7 from the free throw line. He was 0 of 6 from 3-point range and only had 1 turnover. So to answer your question, Super Taco, is Kilpatrick good? I do think he's actually good, but he's not good for fantasy. He's going to kill you in your field goal department. He's going to be sporadic in his scoring. Some days he'll be good in the points. Some days he won't be. Honestly, I'm looking at him right now, and this is I think a really good comparison for him. And Jake, you can agree or disagree with me here after this, but I think he's a poor man's CJ Miles.
Yeah, I like that comp. You said it really well, right? He's going to shoot poorly all the time, and sometimes he'll get you points, which is bad enough as it is, but he's not going to get you very much outside of those points. So he's basically going to hurt you a lot no matter what, and maybe he helps you in basically one category. I'm not convinced that he's any good on an NBA level, but I know he's not good for fantasy.
All right, the Hawks and the Sacramento Kings faced off. The Hawks got the 106-95 win over my hometown Sacramento Kings. Rudy Gay played 31 minutes, had 22 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals on 8 of 13 shooting. He also knocked down 1 3-pointer and only had 2 turnovers, but he did battle foul trouble with 5 fouls in the game. DeMarcus Cousins finished with a double-double once again, 14 points, 12 rebounds, and 1 assist as well as 1 block, although it was on 6 of 16 shooting, so the field goal percentage was not there for him tonight. He did hit 1 3-pointer, and he had 4 turnovers in this game. So for anybody who drafted DeMarcus Cousins, you knew the turnovers were going to be there, so I hope you expected that from him. Kosta Koufis, who started once again next to DeMarcus Cousins, played 24 minutes, had 4 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on what was arguably his best performance of the year so far in this early season. It was on 2 of 5 shooting. He had 4 turnovers as well, though. This is because Paul Millsap and Dwight Howard got into the Kings big men very, very early. Aaron Aflalo played 25 minutes, had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal on 3 of 3 shooting. Ty Lawson started, played 23 minutes, had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. And he had this moment in the game that was so much fun to watch. I believe or posted a video of what he did in 11 seconds. He got a free throw, he got a field goal percentage, or a field goal attempt, he got an assist. I mean, he got a little bit of everything in 11 seconds. It was fun to watch. Off the bench, the person who played the most minutes was Matt Barnes, and he has been a waiver wire pickup that you need to go get, especially with the Kings being a 5-game week this week. You can, if he's still on your wire, go pick him up right now. You can still get 4 games out of Matt Barnes. He's played 27 minutes tonight, had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal on 4 of 9 shooting. He also hit 4 3-pointers in tonight's game and had 4 turnovers as well. So that's kind of gross. But was there any takeaways from this team, or do you kind of see this as you're starting to know what to expect from the Sacramento Kings? It's going to be Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins until Darren Collison comes back. They're just trying to do it by committee, and it looks like Matt Barnes is carved out a very significant role.
Yeah, I think all of that's true. The only other thing I'd point out is just 12 minutes for Willie Cauley-Stein. He's been a major disappointment after getting some off-season hype around hoopball, frankly, and other places. Sad to see him so buried. He has all the potential in the world on the defensive end, but he's really tough to keep on your roster at this point.
Yeah, if you need to drop Willie Cauley-Stein because he's actually hurting you right now, fully understand it. He got into foul trouble early in this game guarding Dwight Howard, and that was a problem. Well, I will say this, though. I'm not giving up on Willie Cauley-Stein's rest of the season outlook at all. I think what they're doing right now, and I have no insight on this at all. This is just from, listening and seeing what's going on with the team and what's going to happen with Rudy Gay, because there's still that looming question mark on, are the Kings going to trade him before the trade deadline? I think they're showcasing Kosta Koufis, especially because of his contract. So if Kosta Koufis is ever moved, I think there's also going to be certain situations where you see Willie Cauley-Stein step in there and be the starter at some point. So I'm not giving up on that. I just think once he becomes a starter, you start seeing what the Brewski 150 projected it to be. What a lot of these hoop ball guys here, including myself, have a lot of hype around Willie Cauley-Stein for a reason, especially for fantasy and what he can do with his potential. So I'm not giving up on that. But again, I think the biggest takeaway from this game is still Matt Barnes, and it's been the takeaway of the season thus far, is that Matt Barnes is showing to be a true fantasy asset. He has a role with this team. He has a connection with DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins says that he wanted him to be here. Dave Yeager brought him over from Memphis after coaching Memphis last year. So he looks like he has a significant role. It looks like the team trusts him. And the fact that he had 9 assists against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday and then tonight finished with 3, it looks like he's going to be a distributor for this team as well. I think they're going to start using him as that Draymond Green type of role, as that tough guy who can play the stretch 4. So that is interesting to see. And again, if you pick him up tonight and he's on your waiver, you still get 4 games out of him. The Kings have a 5-game week this week, and I think that's something very important that you need to consider. We move over to Atlanta now. And again, guys, we are going to answer all of your guys' fantasy basketball questions at the end of this show here. We just want to be able to get through these box scores as fast as possible so you guys can get an initial reaction from today's game. So continue throwing in all of your questions down in the live chat. We'll get to all of them here to end the show. We go over to Atlanta's side, and I don't think there was much to be, too crazy here. It was a lot of the guys that you expected to get expected to see the minutes, expected to produce, and they actually did, and that's why they came out with the victory. But Kent Bazemore finally played a good game. He played 28 minutes, had 11 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, and a block. Although the shooting was not great, it was on 3 of 9 shooting. He did go 4-4 from the free throw line and knocked down a 3-pointer without giving you a turnover as well. Paul Millsap had his first double-double of the season, and damn near triple-doubled with 8 assists in this one, but played 31 minutes, 13 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, 1 block on 5 of 14 shooting. He was 3 of 4 from the free throw line, and he turned the ball over 4 times, but that stat line shows you why you pick him up in that second round. Dwight Howard has been surprising me on how well he's actually been a fit for this Atlanta Hawks team. He had 18 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, and 4 block shots in this game on 5 of 9 shooting. This is disgusting, though. He was 8 of 20 from the free throw line. He only had 2 turnovers, though, so that's, I guess, a good thing. Kyle Korver, my man who I got near the end of my draft, in the latter half of my draft, hit 5 3-pointers tonight and finished with 17 points and 1 steal on 6 of 11 shooting. So that was a huge night for Kyle Korver, because that's exactly what Kyle Korver does. He gets you 3-pointers. Dennis Schroeder, the new starting point guard for the Atlanta Hawks, played 32 minutes, 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. No defensive stats at all on 5 of 14 shooting, but he did get you 2 3-pointers. And the man who played the most minutes off the bench was Thabo Sefolosha. He played 23 minutes, had 4 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. No blocks on 2 of 5 shooting. Any takeaways from you?
This is pretty chalk for Atlanta overall. I continue to be underwhelmed with Schroeder, though. He's averaging 14 and 6 on the season, which is fine. But if the defensive stats aren't going to be there, if he's not going to, up that steal range into the, 1.2, 1.5 range, he kind of becomes a replacement level point guard. So if you were really hyped about him and overdrafted him, be wary at this point. Not sure how much you can rely on him to be a difference maker going forward. Don't drop him or anything, but things aren't looking great.
Last game, and it just wrapped up. 116-98, the Clippers get the victory as expected over the very young and developing and bad Phoenix Suns team. We're going to start with the Clipper side since they won the game. Luc Mbah a Moute started, played 19 minutes, had 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal on 1 of 3 shooting. Blake Griffin played 31 minutes, doubled, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 block on 4 of 7 shooting. He also got to the free throw line 14 times and knocked down 12 of them. So remember when he used to have free throw concerns? It looks like that is a thing of the past, but he did have 5 turnovers, and that is not good to see. DeAndre Jordan played 31 minutes as well. He had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks on 8 of 10 shooting, and he went 3 of 6 from the free throw line. So while that's bad, at least he didn't take that as many as Dwight Howard tonight. So he didn't kill you. JJ Redick, 25 minutes, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal on 6 of 13 shooting. And the one and only CP3, 29 minutes, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals on 8 of 15 shooting. The guy who played the most minutes off the bench tonight was Jamal Crawford. He had 14 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals on 5 of 10 shooting. And he went 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Surprisingly enough, though, he did not give you 1 3-pointer. Was there any big takeaways from this team as well, or was it the big three doing big three things and they just got a help from their supporting cast?
I think that's exactly it. Not much to add. It was a pleasure to watch CP3 just destroy the Suns point guards, but other than that, not a lot of fantasy analysis here.
We go over to the Phoenix side, and it's been a guy who has been capturing the hearts of a lot of fantasy owners because he's probably been the waiver wire pickup next to Matt Barnes of the year so far, and that is TJ Warren, who has stepped into the starting role and has played 28 minutes tonight, finished with 15 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal on 6 of 14 shooting. He did go 3 of 5 from the free throw line and did not knock down a 3-point shot, but he only turned the ball over 1 time. Jared Dudley got a start tonight. Played 19 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steal on 2 of 6 shooting. Tyson Chandler, 4 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, no blocks, no steals in just 18 minutes of action. Looks like Alex Len got the majority of the minutes here tonight. Brandon Knight actually started for the missing Devin Booker, who is out with a toe injury. Had played 31 minutes, had 18 points, and nothing else on 6 of 13 shooting. Eric Bledsoe played 31 minutes as well, had 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, no defensive stats on 5 of 14 shooting, and did not hit a three-pointer either. And then off the bench, most minutes went to PJ Tucker, but he got a lot of his minutes because of garbage time. So I'm going to go with Alex Len. He played 24 minutes, had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, no blocks on 4 of 13 shooting. This is just a bad game from the Phoenix Suns, who have actually been playing a little bit well to start the season. They had a very good game with OKC, and now they go in this Clippers game, and just Clipper had the better matchups. I mean, Blake Griffin was gonna destroy the boards. DeAndre Jordan was gonna destroy the boards against these guys, Alex Len, Tyson Chandler. So you saw that happen, and then Chris Paul is Chris Paul, and he was able to score the basketball. I don't think there's any huge takeaways other than TJ Warren is someone that does not need to be on the waiver wire right now.
And Alex Len might need to head to the waiver wire soon if he isn't already.
I think that if they're going to continue losing games, which I fully expect that to happen, Alex Len is going to have to be the starter. I don't see why Tyson. I think Tyson Chandler is going to become a trade piece. I think Tyson Chandler is going to be in a new uniform by the end of the season. Increase the value of Alex Len, but yeah, I agree. If he's not producing for you, I think you can start seeing him head to the bench. For some reason, they're having him shoot so many mid-range jumpers, and he's not that good from the mid-range. He can shoot the shot, but he shouldn't be taking as many as he has been.
He's shooting 35% from the field as a 7-footer right now, like on the season. Pretty atrocious.
All right, guys, I said we're going to answer all of your fantasy basketball questions to end the show. We're going to do it in a rapid-fire pace. I want to thank all of you guys who joined us tonight. And again, if you want to have a last-second question to get on the show, go ahead and put it down in the live chat, and Jake and I will answer it to wrap up this show. First question is, what do you guys think of Dion Waiters' minutes outlook after Richardson comes back? 33 minutes per game in the last 3 games in 3 games for now. So what do you think his minutes will be? I'm going to say right around from 20 to 24 minutes per game.
I think that sounds about right, and I would go in the lower end, 20, 22. I just think Johnson and Josh Richardson are going to be ahead of him in the pecking order.
Tama asks, who do you pick up if you can pick up one player from the best free agents in my league at the moment? He has Justin Hamilton, James Ennis, Patty Mills, Alan Crabb, Buddy Hield, Luol Deng, and Josh Richardson. I'm saying Josh Richardson.
Yep, totally agree.
All right, Dan H says, who will get the dunk/poster of the year? Except last year was DeRozan on Gobert, and he thinks it's going to be Westbrook on Durant.
Westbrook on Durant was going to be mine. So if I had to pick a second option, why don't we go with Giannis over someone? Some poor dude in February just gets etherized by the Greek freak.
I want to go with something old school only because I want to see it again. This guy's getting minutes for LA. I want to see Blake Griffin dunk on Mozgov again. I don't want him to touch the rim. I want him to throw it in that hole. So I want to see that dunk again, and I want to replay it over and over again on SportsCenter like they've never seen it before. Is Rubio droppable now?
No, definitely not. It's a sprained elbow. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but it's not going to be an overly long injury. Even if you don't have an IR spot, you need to hold on.
They follow that up by saying they have done handcuff, but have wired gems like Barnes, Barea, Hamilton, and Muscala lacking in assists and blocks at the moment. So he has done, or they have done, but they don't know if Rubio is droppable when they have guys like Matt Barnes, JJ Barea, Justin Hamilton, and Mike Muscala there. So would you drop Rubio for any of those guys?
I think you're thinking about it backwards. I think you should be dropping Dunn for Matt Barnes, but not Rubio.
I completely agree. You took my thought right out of my brain, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Will P.J. Tucker be relevant this year? I'm going to answer that with a no, and only because T.J. Warren has passed him up on the rotation, so he's going to be getting more minutes, which means less minutes for P.J. Tucker. And Dragan Bender also passed him up in the rotation as well. And the only reason why P.J. Tucker saw minutes tonight is because they were getting blown out. So Earl Watson already said that Dragan Bender is going to be passing him in the rotation. And last question before we wrap up the show says, is Jonathan Simmons done? Question mark.
I don't think he's done necessarily, but he was the 5th guy off the bench this whole time. He's going to have flashes, especially when they rest people, but he definitely doesn't need to be owned.
It's one game. People are reading into the juices. It was. I wouldn't read too big into the hype. He's going to be on and off waivers all season long. I think he's more of a DFS play than a regular season. Like fantasy league type of play. So that is our show, guys. We went a little bit over time. I want to thank every single one of you who had joined us tonight on Fantasy NBA Tonight Live with myself, Vince Miracle, and the one and only Jake Cousins. If you guys can do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button so we know that you guys like this show, and also hit subscribe so we know that you guys want to keep up to date with all of the NBA fantasy NBA shows that we're doing, as well as the new shows that we're going to be unveiling here on this show. Some will be for free and some will be paid. So you guys need to become an in-season member. And how do you do that? You go in the description. It says premium in-season membership. Click on that link, go there, and use promo code Westbrook, and you can actually get 15% off the low price of just $19.99 for our in-season package. And hey, we're going to keep that price there all the way up until Friday. And after Friday and going into the new week, into week 3, we're actually bumping that up to $29.99. So we're doing one more week free, one more week of $19.99 for the in-season package. So go get that today. Use promo code Westbrook for 15% off all the way up until tip-off Tuesday on Tuesday. So, Jake, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Abyss Also Gazes on Twitter. Still a terrible handle. I'll have a daily dish up tomorrow on hoop-ball.com. And for our in-season premium members, you can find my Dynasty ranks up every weekend on the site as well.
You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of @VM Center. Any of my Kings fans can go check out the Kings Score on iTunes. Subscribe to the show. Bookmark hoop-ball.com. Hit that thumbs up button so that you know that you like it. At Abyss Gazes, at VM Center, the site, at Hoopball Tweets, Bookmark site, hoop-ball.com. Once again, I want to thank all of you guys for joining us. Myself and Dan Bestros will be with you on Fantasy NBA today, tomorrow, and then myself and one special guest, one co-host, I can't remember off the top of my head, will be joining me on Fantasy NBA Tonight Live when we do the show again on Tuesday. So until then, so long, farewell, and good night.
Peace.
Happy Halloween.